These next 4 weeks could be a massive life-changing event for all of us in crypto. Now, I think most of us should understand partly the reason why, and that's because of the XRP lawsuit has just only recently been lifted, but there is more that's gone into it. Today, I'm going to combine some of the most important factors that will give you an indication of, hey, crap, these next 4 weeks, this is it. This is when the bull market is to kick off. So it's going to give all of us an indication as to what we need to do and plan for the next, 12 to 24 months. So guys, let's take our attention now over to the screen and let's dive into this a little bit more. So as you can see here, this is essentially the chart I've mapped of essentially what has been the last few bull markets and also bear markets, as well as what we can expect in the next 4 weeks for the future based on previous events. Okay, so some of you guys who are channel OGs already know this chart basically is what I've covered before. Okay, we know that the halving happened in July, on July 9th, 2016. And what happened exactly, get this, to the day 548 days later at this point in time, while we had the peak of the 2018 bull market. Okay, the arrow's not quite right, but it's essentially the top over here. And it's crazy because what happened in the next bull market, literally the exact same thing occurred. We had a bull market from the halving to the very, very top on the exact to the day time frame, guys, 548 days. When I did the maths on this, I had to triple, quadruple check it. I literally couldn't believe from the halving to the very top of the bull market that there was exactly 548 days from the last 2 cycles. So we're going to get to why that's important in just a second. But as we can see here, it's quite interesting, right? So back in 2018, all we had was pretty much retail speculation, just people like you and I buying crypto. And the same was pretty much said for the just recent gone bull market, the 2021 cycle, right? We had about 5% enterprise adoption at this point, if you could even say that, probably even less. And it was still 95% retail, okay? So I strongly believe, obviously, given the uncertainty around crypto as well, we didn't have a massive blow off top due to some obviously important factors, but I do think as well we are going to see a steady level off. But I think the 2025 bull run could actually see something different play out. I think we might actually have the opportunity to have a similar blow off top event, again, possibly, because I strongly believe we're going to have at least around 20% enterprise adoption at this point. So we're going to have more of the big players, the bigger fish in the space, 80% retail. That all depends as well as to what comes next. And this is the really important part, right? Because what comes next is really important. We've seen with XRP the last couple of days now, it's actually been finalized, right? The lawsuit is no longer. And so, well, at least, the majority of the lawsuit, what we're kind of at least most concerned with, which is whether XRP was actually a security or not, which gives the altcoins more confidence. And I think what comes next is most definitely a long and treacherous journey, but ultimately that insight, that framework for regulation in the space is definitely there now, right? Which is awesome to see. So if we fast forward again, we kind of had the 548 days play out over here again for the previous bull market. Well, again, we're right here. It's about the 14th right now of July, and XRP has just won the lawsuit, which is fantastic. Technically, the whole lawsuit, right? And so we have the next halving over here on April 1st, roughly April sometime 2024. No one knows the exact day the Bitcoin will halve, but it'll essentially be in April, okay? So what we can then do is just make a very quick assumption, right? What we can say is, hey, the last 2 bull cycles have had these 548 days play out. Now, again, nothing is 100%, confirmed. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. So I can't sit here and say to you, it's definitely going to play out in 548 days, but we can definitely take that as a very good indication of, hey, we can maybe use that as a guide and then work back and work some of our assumptions back. So what I've done is I'm estimating we're going to pretty much see the bull run, the tip, hopefully, ideally, play out around October to November 2025. So late 2025. And then, as I said, we work back. So what do we do at this point? Well, we go, if the halving's until April, right, when is the last opportunity? When's the last time we can possibly put our positions in? And I came with over here. So that's June, July 2024. That's where we really need to get our last positions in. But why the next 4 weeks are super critical, why essentially this period right here is integral for us to all take advantage of, is because of what I'm about to explain. Now, these charts I went over in my video I did about a week or 2 ago, and I pretty much use these as zoom in time periods from when they kind of represent. So essentially the bull market, the top of the bull market in 2018 for this chart here, right through to about mid the next cycle, right? So that kind of corresponds with the time frame I'll put them on here. This one, the same thing, right? About mid the 2016 to 2018 cycle to the very top of the 2013 cycle, essentially, which is not obviously recorded here. So what we found was, well, at least what I found was when it halved here, which is the green line, 8 months out, 8 months before this period, right, we start to see demand really pick up. That's the volume you can see here start to pick up. Now, it is a little bit skewed, as you can see, because obviously it's a lot more when it starts to really pick up. But essentially, we saw that even 14 months out was the really critical point where things start to pick up. And if we kind of come forward here now to the 2021 and 22 bull market, we saw even greater volume, okay? We saw a whole new level of volume here. As you can see, the halving happened on the green dot as well. 8 months before, it started picking up again. So as you can see here, and then 14 months out is when it started to actually start to take effect. Now, again, this was 14 and 8 months prior to the halving. Now, if we kind of use that at today's standards, right, again, we're going to use the same sort of thing. We're going to go from the very top of the 2021 cycle right through to about where we are right now, so about the 14th of July. And if we actually zoom in and extrapolate this information, what we're going to find is, if obviously April, is the halving, well, 8 months out is actually going to be in a period of about August, right, which is about right here. And then 14 months out was actually back in February. So technically, things have already started to pick up, but it doesn't look like it, understandably, with the volume because, well, obviously, it's not skewed yet, right? Back over here, we had very skewed early beginnings because over here, the volume was quite intense, right? So we haven't had the large volume from the actual bull market yet. We haven't had this start to pick up, but trust me when I say it definitely will be. And so what do we kind of use this information? What do we actually get? Well, this black area here is the next 4 weeks. Okay, they're just the next month, right? So from the 14th of July, where we are right here, all the way to pretty much mid-August. And as I say here, 4 weeks out and the bull run could definitely start, which has been proliferated by the recent XRP news. So obviously that just means I'm saying that it's been kind of brought in a lot faster and probably a lot harder because of this recent news, okay? So many of the coins regarded as a security by the SEC might not have their wings clipped much longer. And also, the whole industry is a lot more relaxed now because we know, okay, XRP isn't a security. The XRP token itself isn't. There is still some things going, right now pending in terms of the jury has to decide on whether XRP was actually selling its token as for a profit to investors. That's still underway, but the actual token itself isn't. So that's a really good sign for the industry. And so this obviously means more than just an XRP thing, right? So the industry is a lot more confident. We might see more investors start to come back in. And therefore, I think regardless, around the 8th month mark anyway, we'd typically see a pickup in demand. So I think the next 4 months, because of this news as well, remember, XRP's finalization of the lawsuit, essentially, I think, guys, this next period here that I have in black, the next 4 weeks is going to really be a differentiating time for crypto and the bull market. They might be thinking, Kyron, who cares, man? Why is this big news? Why do we really have to give two craps about whether the bull market starts, in the next 4 weeks or the next 3 months? Well, again, it's an integral time for us as investors to put our final positions in. We don't want to obviously be buying when prices have gone up 10, 20%. We don't want to be buying obviously near the peaks. We want to be buying at the troughs, right? We want to be buying when it's the cheapest possible price. And luckily for us, crypto obviously is pumping a little bit right now. I think it'll definitely start to peel off a little bit, ideally. And then if you do have any more positions to put in, this is an integral time to do so. Now, in saying that, you do want to have some cash on the side. One thing I found in the last bull market was it really annoyed me when we've had dips and I couldn't just buy more tokens, or of course, there is a substantial chance we see a black swan event happen. We don't know what is happening behind the scenes. The big fish seem to always have a plan. And for us, the small guys, the surface level stuff tends to be the false narrative. So I want to make that very clear. There's always a hidden agenda happening behind the scenes. So I think having a minimum of 10% of your portfolio in cash is a very good thing to have. Now, if, for example, the bull market takes off and the next 4 weeks is that's it, right? The demand starts picking up. We never see our favorite projects at the prices they are right now, which could definitely happen is what I might suspect here, at least in the next 2 months max. And so when this starts to pick up, guess what's going to happen, guys? You're going to end up wishing that you had some cash in the bull market because that is when we can find these 100x to 1000x plays. I know 1000x seems quite crazy right now. And so if we can find those projects in a bull market, they have a substantially multiples more chance of actually making that happen than right now. That's where I've been hyper focused on this channel at focusing on the larger projects because their quality a lot safer to some degree than the small micro cap projects. But in the bull market, if you are someone who has a bit of money to speculate, trust me, these projects just shoot up in price. It's got nothing to do with fundamental details. All it's got at that point is, hey, this is a cool project. Let's just go ahead and buy this because ABC YouTuber said it's got this weird, cool little feature. the meme, right? And so you want to have a bit of money to speculate at that time. At least I definitely will. So holding cash is important, but definitely I would say if you are smart money, if you want to be clever about this and use what we currently have in our books, in our knowledge, which is this information, you will definitely take advantage over the next month, possibly stretching to 2 months. 1 to 2 months is when I think we'll start to see more demand come in, especially because of the big news. And remember, you definitely want to be taking sort of your positions latest by, as I mentioned down here, 3 to 4 months buffer from the next top bull market, right? From that peak in probably around November, maybe even December, okay, which is June, July 2024, all right? Because we're trying to avoid tax as well, guys. I can't stress it enough, right? I get people all the time, Kyle, what about tax? Yes, it's very important. I recently did my tax returns. Tax season over here for Australia is middle of the year. I know it's backwards, right? And I got my tax bill back, and suffice to say, I was pretty damn shocked at how much I owe because of capital gains. So over here, it's about 50%. So that's pretty much making sure that you don't sell your assets earlier than 12 months. And it's like that most places around the world, okay? So if you can, at least buy in before 12 months. That way you're saving yourself money, or just move to Dubai, okay? So one of the two, right? Anyway, guys, I'll quickly go over this before we leave. I've pretty much just reiterated what I've said here, right? So I think the bull run is due to start sooner than I initially expected. This was my, philosophy going back probably 12 months now. I didn't think the bull market would actually start this soon, but obviously having a look at the information on screen, it's pretty obvious it's going to be starting very, very soon. And I've always been very vocal about not buying in too soon because I've always felt the Black Swan event was due. Now, Black Swan event's a sudden collapse in the market, a terrible event that crashes the price, like we saw with the big bad flu that went around there for the last few years. Definitely crashed the price. We got some really good prices because of it, but I still feel like something could happen. But again, today's prices are extremely good. And ultimately, the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we really going to risk buying in higher prices for the possibility a Black Swan occurs? Now, I do feel it's a safer play having most positions in at this point with some cash on the side for unexpected events, as long as your average buy-in price meets your minimum return on investment goals. Now, in my opinion, for pretty much all projects is as good as a time as ever. Obviously, if you need to buy in lower for a certain project and you have to hold off and you feel like you want to hold off, you can do that. But for most projects, for most people's expectations, now is a pretty good time, right? So based on previous events, it appears the 2025 bull run should be capping out around November, December, which I mentioned. So you want to have your final positions in the next, pretty much in June, July 2024, right? To minimize capital gains tax. It's always been a wise decision to hold some cash on the side just for those micro cap speculation plays. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is going to do today's video. I hope I have put some urgency on this time frame for you because it really is a very, very important thing to look at. I don't want you guys feeling high and dry in the next bull market because you missed out on the most important time, which is the pivot, which is now. Guys, thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.